Hi, I'm Jason Gore for That Shelf, and we're here to take a look at Ziggy Stardust.
That shelf.
So, David Bowie Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, the motion picture soundtrack. This is the new version, all fancy and gold and stuff like that, the 50th anniversary edition. Now, it's nice to have these, to live long enough, as it were, for these anniversary editions to come out. Here's an example of the 30th anniversary. This is sort of came out at the time. This is my original DVD copy, and the first time that I actually had a chance to see it. D.A. Pennebaker, one of the great documentarians, whoever it was, captured Bowie ostensibly at what he argued was his last show, his the final performance. A lot of people thought, well, that he was just going to retire after that, but of course he retired the Ziggy character. Shot in 16. It's an incredible show. It really shows right at that moment the Spiders from Mars band, absolutely astonishing, accomplished musicians. But it showed right at that moment just what an incredible live gig these guys could put on. You had this incredible amorphous, androgynous character on stage telling this semi-sci-fi, post-glam, pre-punk storyline incorporating many of the songs and elements from slightly earlier in Bowie's career, but solidly playing tracks from what many still consider to be the greatest record he ever produced. I'm a hunky-dory guy, but nonetheless, Ziggy's pretty amazing. So this, 20 years ago now, is what came out on DVD. It was nice little sort of plastic outer packaging, the flamey Bowie. And inside here, you had sort of a breakdown of the motion picture itself, little booklets showing all the individual people. And yeah, back when this was the intent of physical media. We have here, this is pretty wild, you get this folded up poster inside here, which is sat in a DVD case for however many years. So on the one side you have this, and on the other side you sort of have a breakdown of all these elements. Stuff that they used to throw into there. Recorded at Hammersmith Odeon, London, July 3rd, 1973. So we're recording this in August 2023. So yeah, 50 years away. And then you just had a single disc set, just a plain DVD. The restoration on this was actually quite excellent, considering the state of many of the elements. And since it's on 16, being on DVD was not necessarily the end of the world. It actually did a pretty decent job. The framing, the 1:3:1 aspect, etc., actually looked pretty good, all things considered, on DVD. Certainly better than it had ever looked on home video before. Fast forward 20 years, we have stuff like Moon Age Daydream, the Brett Morgan wonderful film on David Bowie, that actually allowed a rescan and resource. As part of that project, as far as I understand, it was certainly associated with it, but a bunch of clips of Moon Age Daydream were directly lifted from this original doc, and at the time they were in the process of doing a full restoration. That restoration is available. It's actually been playing theatrically. I unfortunately haven't had a chance to see it. I'm hoping for a 4K disc that I can get in my hands soon. But one thing that they did do is release the record. Now, that's what the movie looked like. Inside this monster, this is the first of the David Bowie box sets, appropriately called 5 Years. Inside here, we have this thing. If I can get this out without ruining my fingers or the rest of the box. But there. So this is a repressing of the original soundtrack. Inside you can see a replication of, or at least that poster was a replication of the kind of stuff inside the gatefold, and the track listing of the original. So if we contrast that with what we're doing here, you can see that this very much fits what the movie poster looks like, what the sort of original design is, And the 50th sort of showing off a very different, a very gold look. Some people love it, some people hate it. I'm kind of in the middle. The flames with having to have the black in the background against the gold, a little bit rough. And it's interesting because on both of them you actually see how much grain they sort of have in that sort of screen pull of Mr. Jones himself. We'll go sort of track by track here on the difference. Um, so here we have introduction, Hang on Yourself, Ziggy Stardust, Watch That Man, All the Same, Wild Eyed Boy from Free Cloud, All the Young Dudes, Oh You Pretty Things. That's on side 1 of this. Moon Age Daydream gets moved up to the same disc 1 on the gold one. Then we have Changes, Space Odyssey, My Death, and then Cracked Actor and Time, which was on side 3 of this, are the last on side 2 of this. It actually has here Introduction on side 3 that may still be associated with Cracked Actor. We'll see. Time, then The Width of a Circle, then side 4, Let's Spend the Nights Together, Suffragette City, White Light, White Heat. And then we have here the big inclusion. So this used to end with White Light, White Heat, Farewell Speech, and Rock and Roll Suicide. And now we have the stuff that was taken off the soundtrack, basically, or at least not including the original vinyl pressing, is that we have this medley of Gene Genie, Love Me Do, the Gene Genie featuring Jeff Beck, Ran Around featuring Jeff Beck, then the Farewell Speech, then Rock and Roll Suicide and finale. So the inclusion of that, the inclusion of the Beatles covers and the Jeff Beck element, another like great artist, you get on here, but you don't get on here, which is why crazy people like me got this. This is another Tony Visconti restoration or remix or whatever it is. Some people love the work, some people don't. But nonetheless, he is very much the keeper of the, shall I say Bowie flame? Like literally the Bowie flame? Anyway, let's crack this open and see what's actually looks like inside, what the vinyl looks like, etc. Because this one is slightly different than some of the ones you can get at your local retailer. Because why not? Again, back in the day, you got just a simple, like the gatefold of this, just to remind you. So inside the gatefold here was this design with these elements on the back. Here we have this sort of faded color version of Bowie himself, but you see that it actually is a trifold. It's kind of hard to get this on screen. But so this flips open like this, and then other elements are sort of located, tucked in here, which is where it is, in order to get the sort of wider span. You can see on the front, but you can see on the inside all these elements here. In the front, if I do this without breaking anything, again, you have this wide fold with this sort of gold pattern and these sort of, I know it's hard with the lights, but these sort of ghostly images of Bowie. Tucked in the first sleeve, we have this, again, this sort of faded element, and on the back, on black, all the elements. Executive producer, Tony DeFries, the executive producer of the original film. Filmed by D.A. Pennebaker, filmed by, and then it has the camera people, including Pennebaker, and the individual musicians. Of course, Mick Ronson, but also Trevor Bolder, Woody Woodmansey, Ken Fordham, Brian Whitshaw, Jeffrey McCormick on backing vocals and percussion, John Hutchison on guitar, and Mike Garson on piano, mellotron, and organ, with special guest Jeff Beck. So we actually have the restoration credits here on the film, but that's pretty great. So that's sort of disc 1, and then we have here disc 2, and again another of these great images, and the black and gold, and on here we have the credits, all titles written by David Bowie except introducing the Night Symphony, etc., etc. Obviously the Beatles stuff, that Let's Spend the Night Together, written by Mick Jagger, etc. What else is on here? Anything of interest? It just shows that the design is by Scott Minshall at Gas Associates. So if you're upset about the design, get upset at Scott. Special thanks to Sandra Beck and the Jeff Beck estate. So yeah, the incorporation of that Jeff Beck stuff into here, very, very welcome for historical purposes alone, for it to actually be part of the full soundtrack. Now, inside these paper sleeves, what do we got? Well, we got some records, but what's cool, as you see me undo this as carefully as I can, I hate paper sleeves for this reason, we have the gold version. So what a bunch of records do these days, but they put the titles on one side, and then you have the Ziggy, the Bowie lightning mark on the other side. So the gold, it's not exactly the same kind of shade, but it's similar. And this was the exclusive thing that you could only get if you actually ordered directly from the label. I will look a little bit closer at this one as I pull it out, just to see how it actually behaves. I mean, it's actually a really beautiful gold, slightly metallic. You can really see that sort of in the runout groove. Looks clean. I see no fingerprints, no obviously marking on it. See if I can see anything about the actual mastering as I read the matrix numbers like a crazy person. Yeah, I don't see any like Bernie Grumman or anything of that etched in it. Clearly this will be from a digital source. That'll be a remix, and that's how it's been for the Bowie albums for many, many years now. But nonetheless, again, we have the lightning bolt and the track listing there. So that is our look at the new Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, the original motion picture soundtrack. I look forward to listening to it. Please let me know in the comments if you have picked up this record and what you think and how it actually compares to the other pressing. It would be excellent to hear. And happy listening. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Jason Cooper for thatshelf.com once again. Let us know in the comments, again, anything that, any questions you have, I'm happy to address. Might not get it to the right way, but I will do my best to check even after weeks or months after this has been posted. Follow us on social media. Please go to our website, thatshelf.com, and support our writers. It really mean a lot to me and to all of us. And we will see you next video. All the best. Take care. Cheers.